The family that mistook kindness for obligation. The envelope showed up every semester like clockwork. $34,500 wired straight to Ridgefield Academy's bursar's office from an account my sister Clara never questioned. For 3 years, I quietly watched my nephew Ethan attend one of the most exclusive prep schools in the state. Without my quarterly payments, he'd be sitting in an overcrowded public school, one where 40 kids shared a classroom and a single counselor was responsible for hundreds of students. I never asked for thanks. Clara assumed that our late mother had set up a trust fund for Ethan, and I never corrected her. It was easier to let her believe that, easier than explaining that her aimless younger sister had built a consulting business strong enough to cover nearly $207,000 in tuition for her son. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, my phone buzzed with the usual reminder. Ethan's spring tuition was due in 6 weeks. I opened the payment app, ready to confirm it, when a text from Clara appeared. Bringing Marcus to Thanksgiving this year. Finally, someone successful in the family. Can't wait for you to meet him. Marcus was her new boyfriend, a pharmaceutical sales director, supposedly. For the last couple of months, I'd been hearing about his big sales numbers, country club membership, and his portfolio of investment properties. Clara kept saying how lucky she was to finally meet a man who was successful after all her years as a struggling single mom. I closed the payment reminder without pressing confirm. Something about that message made me pause, though. I couldn't explain why. Thanksgiving Day. My father's house in Brookdale was its usual noise and chaos. Relatives everywhere, overlapping conversations, too many dishes no one had coordinated. Clara walked in first, glowing with pride. Marcus followed, loud and confident, immediately taking over conversations with stories about his job and golf handicap. Then came Ethan, 15, tall, awkward, and glued to his phone. "Hey, Aunt Lena," he mumbled, giving me a quick hug before disappearing into the basement with his cousins. "Clara, come meet Marcus properly." Clara rested her hand on his arm. "Marcus, this is my sister. She does some bookkeeping, small business consulting, little stuff." Bookkeeping? That wasn't even close to what I did. But I smiled and let it slide. "Nice to meet you," Marcus said, giving me a firm, overconfident handshake. "Clara tells me you help small companies. That's steady work. Pays the bills, right?" "It does," I replied, keeping my tone polite. I slipped into the kitchen where Aunt Nora was struggling with a stubborn turkey. The afternoon rolled on the same as every year, football blaring, kids running around, wine flowing freely. I was setting dessert plates when voices drifted from the kitchen. The door was cracked open. I froze when I heard my name. Clara was laughing. "I'm just saying, she's been single forever. Maybe if she focused on finding a real career instead of that little consulting thing, she wouldn't be so lonely." Then Ethan's voice joined in. "Yeah, Mom, she's such a loser. Always trying to buy our love. Did you see that watch she got me last Christmas? Like that makes up for being boring." Clara laughed again. "Ethan, that's harsh, but not totally wrong. She does try a little too hard." Marcus's voice came next. "Some people peak in high school, others just float through life without much ambition. At least she's not asking you for money." Clara lowered her voice, but I could still hear her. She knows better than that. Honestly, I think she's jealous, seeing what real success looks like now that Marcus is around. I stood there, dessert plates trembling in my hands, listening to my sister and nephew tear me apart. The watch Ethan mentioned had cost $1,800. I'd spent hours picking it out, knowing he'd wanted that specific model for months. I took out my phone, opened my banking app, and went to the Ridgefield Academy portal. It was already logged in. I canceled the automatic payment for the upcoming semester. Then I wrote an email to the bursar's office right there, standing in that hallway. "Please cancel the recurring payment for Ethan Palmer, student ID 2847392. Effective immediately, I will no longer be covering his tuition. The fall semester is paid in full, but no future payments will be processed. Please direct all invoices to his mother, Clara Palmer." I hit send, then I walked back into the kitchen, smiling. Who wants pumpkin pie? I asked. Clara froze, guilt flashing briefly across her face, but Marcus was already reaching for a slice. Nobody suspected a thing. A month later, the holidays came and went. I worked through New Year's, stayed busy, and didn't think much about Ridgefield until mid-January when my phone rang. Lena, Clara said quickly, we got the strange letter from Ridgefield saying Ethan's enrolled is canceled due to non-payment. Did Mom set up the payments through your account or something? I was at a cafe in Maplecrest reviewing contracts on my laptop. What do you mean? They're saying no one paid for spring tuition, but that's impossible. Mom's trust handled it automatically. Mom didn't leave a trust. She left that small retirement fund we split 3 ways, $15,000 each, remember? Silence. Then who's been paying Ridgefield? That school costs $34,500 a semester. I have no idea, I said calmly. Maybe you should call their office. Lena, this isn't funny. Ethan's classes start in 2 weeks. If he's not enrolled, he loses his spot. You know how hard it is to get into Ridgefield. That sounds stressful. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Wait, could you maybe loan us the tuition this semester just until we sort this out? Please? A $34,500 loan from me? The same loser she'd mocked in her kitchen? I don't have that kind of money, Clara. I just do bookkeeping, remember? Small business stuff, not real career money. Lena, please. Ask Marcus. He's the successful one. Pharmaceutical sales, investment properties, country club membership. I'm sure he can help. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just that you have options I don't. And I hung up. The calls began within hours. First Clara, then my father, then Aunt Nora. Everyone suddenly remembered my phone number. By the 3rd day, my father called directly. Lena, I need the truth. Clara's at Ridgefield right now. They showed her records. You've been paying Ethan's tuition for 3 years? Yes, I said. $34,500 per semester. For 3 years. Why would you do that without telling anyone? Because Ethan deserved better opportunities than Clara could afford. I had the means, so I did it. It was simple. And now you've stopped? Yes. This is about Thanksgiving, isn't it? It is, I said evenly. Ethan called me a loser who tries to buy love. Clara agreed. Marcus joined in about how I lack ambition. So yes, Dad, it's about that. He sighed. Lena, you can't just pull his funding like this. He's settled in. This will ruin everything for him. Then maybe Clara should have thought about that before Thanksgiving. I hung up. 2 weeks later, Clara showed up at my office. She looked worn out. Hair unwashed, eyes puffy, voice tired. He can't go back to public school mid-year, she said, almost begging. His friends are all at Ridgefield. His robotics program is there. This will destroy his transcript. You should have thought about that before Thanksgiving. Lena, I'm sorry. We were drunk and stupid. Ethan's a kid. Please don't punish him for what I said. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just not paying anymore. What do you want? An apology? Fine, I apologize. So does Ethan. We were wrong. I don't want apologies. I want you to understand that I paid $207,000 for your son's education, and you mocked me behind my back while I was setting out dessert plates. She started to cry. I know, I'm so sorry. Please, just one more semester. I'll find a way after that. You had 3 years to ask where the money came from. You never did. You just assumed it was free. What do you want from me? I want Ethan to know the truth, that his loser aunt paid for 3 years of his private education, that while he was laughing at my gifts, I was paying his tuition. He knows, she said softly. I told him yesterday. He's devastated. Good. Maybe he'll learn something from it. Lena, please. The answer is no. Ask Marcus, or Anyone else? I'm done being the family's invisible wallet." She left without another word. That evening, a text arrived from an unknown number. "Aunt Lena, it's Ethan. Mom gave me your number. I know you probably hate me, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry. You were always nice to me, and I was awful to you." I stared at the message for a while, then replied, "I don't hate you, Ethan, but I hope you understand. Words have consequences. You're 15, not 5. You knew what you were saying." "I know," he replied. "I'm really sorry. I'm starting public school Monday. Mom can't afford Richfield. I wish I could take back Thanksgiving." We all wish that sometimes. But we live with our choices. Public school isn't a punishment. Millions of kids thrive there. You'll be fine. 2 months later, I ran into Dad at the grocery store. We had barely spoken since the fallout. "Ethan's adjusting," he said. "The public school has a robotics club. He's doing okay. Clara and Marcus broke up. Apparently, he wasn't as successful as he claimed." "Not surprising," I said. "Lena, you've made your point. Everyone sees what you did for them now. Maybe it's time to move on." "Dad, I didn't do this to prove anything. I just finally stopped being the silent solution. I'm done being dismissed as unambitious while funding everyone else's life." He nodded slowly. "For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. I should have said it years ago. You built something real." "Thanks," I said. "Clara hopes you'll forgive her eventually." "Eventually," I agreed, "but not today." I paid for my groceries and stepped into the bright spring sunlight. For the first time in 3 years, there was no tuition reminder on my phone. No $34,500 transfer to prepare for. And I realized something new. Freedom feels a lot like peace.